Missed some folks because of the basketball game last night. I watched it. I saw the finish, and if you're a Target fan, you ought to be at church today. Well, it's good to see everybody. What a beautiful day, and beautiful time of year, and it's good to see everybody. Thank you for being here. Do I sound all right? No, something's wrong. I hit the wrong button. Here, you'll have to help me out here.
Guys, I'll be honest, we kind of need a new sound system. We got a lot of just like gremlins and bugs, and every single week something else inexplicably kind of breaks. So somebody just pray to Jesus, win the lottery, and let's just get new sound. Okay, can we do that?
Okay, all right. Fortunately, I'm used to this kind of these obstacles. Fortunately or unfortunately. So hey, we're continuing our series today. You ready? Journey to Easter. Can you believe how close we are? Just a couple Sundays away. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. The reading assignment for this week, there was 10 chapters. So raise your hand. You read all those chapters. All right. That's amazing. High five. Give me some. Who else? Oh, there's one more back here. That's amazing. 10 chapters. You got it. Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring it in. All right. Woo! All right. That's great. If you didn't do it, then for this week there's just one chapter to read, basically. So. One chapter, and that is chapter 19, verse 28 through chapter 21, verse 38. So if you didn't read those 10 chapters and didn't get some of that, get busy this week, and maybe there'll be some love for you next week, right? Sure there will be. So far we've learned a lot as we've worked our way through Luke and his gospel. Early on we saw it kind of all started with just believing that Jesus is the Christ. That's why Luke wrote this gospel, so that we would come to believe. As we kind of keep moving through, we found Jesus his mission is atonement. It's his purpose in life is to forgive you of your sin, and to restore your relationship with God. And we keep moving. We've looked at the importance of His Word. His Word is so full of power, and His words are words of life and words of grace. And just to hear His Word, everything just hinges on that. And there's so much is possible in the words that He writes, that the words of Jesus and what He speaks to us. Today, what we're going to look at is what it means to follow Jesus, because it would certainly not be faithful, right? If we heard Jesus, we heard His Word, like we talked about last week. We're good soil, and we were receiving that seed, and it was growing, but then we didn't do anything with it, right? So what we want to do with the Word of God is to follow Jesus, and that's what we're looking at today. A little bit about following Jesus and what that means for us. What we find in this passage is that following Jesus it's challenging. It's very hard. I was thinking there's nothing you will do in your life that is more difficult than following Jesus. But there's also nothing that will be more rewarding and life-giving. Amen? It's a challenge. And so when we hear these words from what Pastor Wallace read today, what we find is we're getting a kind of a little preview that things are getting ready to heat up. The road that Jesus is walking, it leads through suffering and death and pain, the cross. It's a difficult road that Jesus takes. And we know at the end of the story that it leads to victory and it leads to life. But to get there, Jesus is going to have to go through the valley of the shadow of death. And if we're going to be His followers and we're going to walk with Him, that means we got to go through those dark places. Those challenging places. Here's kind of the key verse 21 of Luke chapter 9. The Son of Man, well, hold on, let's go to verse 51 of chapter 9. It came to pass, the time was come that he should be received up. And Jesus steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem. He knows what awaits him in Jerusalem, right? Rejection and persecution and arrest and betrayal and death, pain. He knows, and yet he sets his face towards Jerusalem. Is there something you need to set your face towards today? Is there some difficult place that God's calling you to venture toward? Jesus sets his face toward Jerusalem, knowing what waits him there. As he said earlier in this same chapter, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed, and then raised up on the third day. What we see in this passage, Jesus introduces his disciples to the kind of rejection that he himself is going to face. He sends his disciples into a place called Samaria, north of Jerusalem, northern territory of the old kingdom. He sends his disciples into a place where they're not welcome. Right, so I won't go into the whole history because I know some biblical scholars here, and if I went into the whole history, I might get something wrong. So I better, it's a pretty good chance. But anyway, Samaria. So there was one kingdom of Israel, one kingdom of the Jews, and then sometime like 800 years before Jesus, it split, and this 10 of the northernmost kingdoms, they all kind of abandoned the original kingdom and went and started their own place. So already got bad blood, right? A bunch of traitors, they left us, they think they're better than us, so you got this animosity there. Well then, 50, 60 years after that, the northern kingdom is captured by Assyria, Babylon, and they come and the king deports all the people of the northern kingdom. Sends them all to other places to live, and then repopulates the northern kingdom with a mixture of different races, different places, and then the southern kingdom began to look down on them even worse, because now they're not Jewish at all, and I think today we'd call this racism. They were being looked down upon because they were different races and different places. They weren't the original pure Jewish race, and so they were looked down upon. So there's this huge animosity. Later, the northern kingdom comes to believe and comes to faith in the God of Israel, but still the people in the southern kingdom reject them and won't let them have any part in their religious life. And so the northern kingdom builds its own temple, and then there's more animosity. Your temple's better than my temple. My temple's better than your temple. Who's worshiping right? There's all this animosity. Sometimes people from the northern kingdom come down to the southern kingdom and kind of vandalize the temple. And then when people from the southern kingdom tried to travel through the territory of the northern kingdom, they were rejected and they were just kind of abused and ridiculed. And it's went back and forth of this. What the craziest thing was, imagining it being in worship and praying for your enemy not only to die, but to not have any share in the resurrection. This is kind of how bad it was. This is the kind of animosity. And so that's like how the Samaritans kind of feel about the Jewish folk. And where does Jesus send his two disciples, James and John, to prepare a place for him? Into Samaria. They're like, thank you so much, Jesus. Thank you for this wonderful challenge. So the disciples get a sense of what Jesus is getting ready to face, because when he gets there, when they get into Samaria, they're rejected. And they're told that they're not welcome here. Jesus isn't welcome here. They get mad as heck. They're calling down fire. God, can we call down fire and burn these people up? So let them be dead and stay dead. And of course, Jesus says to them, no, you can't do that. So a couple of things. So here, to begin with, what we see in this, Jesus as his disciples, he'll send us into some tough places, some challenging places. And one of the biggest challenges, I believe, from my experience following Jesus so far, one of the biggest challenges I think that we have in following Jesus is when it comes to following Jesus in relationships. when we have disagreements, when we're upset with people, when people don't like us, and we don't like them, we don't understand each other, that could be the hardest place to follow Jesus. So a side note, is he calling you into that kind of place? Is there some relationship? Is there something going on that Jesus is calling you to address? But as it goes on, as we find out, it's not just a matter of getting to this hard place where they're not welcome, but then when they get there, they have to carry themselves in a Christ-like way, and that's even harder. It's not just about showing up in this place where you didn't really want to go, but then it's about being like Jesus when you get there. So they call down fire. They're like, we're going to burn these guys up. How a little barbecue, a little Samaritan barbecue today, Jesus. And he's like, you can't do, we're not doing that. He goes on to say, you don't understand, guys, you don't understand the manner of spirit that you are. You don't understand what kind of spirit that I've put within you, what kind of spirit I am, and what I'm calling you to be. You don't seem to get it, guys. And so there's a rebuking that happens, and that's not a good feeling, right? To be rebuked. Anybody have Jesus rebuke you yet? It's like, you're not handling that right. If you haven't, then you might need to buckle down, right? There's a good chance you've been skirting around the edges of something. So I've been rebuked many a time. So what happens though, Jesus said, you don't understand the kind of spirit that I put within you, the kind of spirit that I'm calling you to live. And so what we find, without getting deep into it, Jesus puts the spirit Jesus gives to his disciples. He said, this spirit I have given you, the spirit that I put within you, it is not a spirit of destruction. It is not a spirit of condemnation. I'm not putting that kind of spirit in you. That's the spirit of evil. That's the devil's spirit. I'm not putting within you spirit of destruction to write people off and to tear people down and wipe them off the face of the earth. I'm not putting that kind of spirit in you. I have come to save, right? Not to condemn. I've come to save, not condemn, and I'm putting the same saving spirit in you. So how you relate to people and how you face the challenges you face, you don't face them with the spirit of destruction, but with the spirit of salvation, right? He goes on, I said, I have not put within you. We can start to sort of think through a little bit more what kind of spirit has Jesus put in them. He said, I've not put within you a spirit of hate either. Guys, I'm not putting this spirit of hate, this hatred that you're feeling for the Samaritans. That's not my spirit. That's not the spirit that I have. It's not the spirit I'm giving you. I'm not about hatred. You hear what Jesus is saying? I'm not here to hate. I'm not a hater. Jesus doesn't hate anybody. I'm not here to hate, to look upon people with disgust and disdain. I'm not here to be all bent out of shape and mad at folks and wish them harm. That's not the spirit of Jesus. That's some other spirit. So the spirit that I have and the spirit that I'm putting in you is the spirit of love. I'm calling you to love, right? To be caring, and to be gentle and kind and tender-hearted, to build people up. That's the spirit of God. You guys have got the wrong spirit. All right. Now all this, we're kind of digging into what this scripture means. This is not all written out there in black and white. We're having to read a little bit deeper to get at what kind of spirit. And a couple other things. Jesus I think, is saying to his disciples, I have not given you a spirit of impulsiveness. Right? This is a hard one in our day and time, because we're used to flying off the handle and having temper tantrums and telling people off and going on our gut. And Jesus said, that I've not put within you a spirit of impulsiveness. The spirit that I put within you is a spirit of self-control, a spirit of patience, right? That's the spirit of God. That's the spirit I put in you. This desire to wipe these Samaritans off the face of the earth, that is not who we are. That's not who I'm calling you to be. And we could think through more. What kind of spirit then have we got? It's not a spirit of fear. I was thinking sometimes when we act out, we get all mad and we start lashing out at people. The truth is, behind that facade, I believe there's a scared little boy or girl that's just, fighting back out of defensiveness, right? And Jesus said to his disciples, I'm not giving you a spirit of fear either. I've given you a spirit, I'm not giving you a spirit of fear, I've given you a spirit of confidence. Because you are a child of God. You are a child of the Most High God. Right? And somebody else may talk bad about you, but that's okay, because my Father loves you, and I love you. You don't have to worry about us running away from you or abandoning you. So you can face this without freaking out, cursing and losing your stuff, right? Remain confident in confidence in God. Now it's hard. All this is hard. So maybe Jesus is calling you to a relationship you need to deal with, or something at work, or something in the community, something in the world. God's challenging you, something in your interpersonal life, the thing you don't want to tell anybody about, right? That Jesus is calling you to face, to go there, just like he's telling his disciples to go to Samaria. But it's not just a matter of going to that place, it's when you get there to be like Jesus in that place. So it's a challenge to call to follow Jesus. What we have here then is this, as the passage unfolds, we see three different responses to the invitation to follow Jesus. Three of them. I want to see if any of these resonate with us. So first person says, Jesus, I will follow you wherever you go. Sign me up. Right now, I'm ready to go. And Jesus said, what do you think? Well, that's pretty good. What's wrong with that response? Man, kind of like that. Well, the problem is Jesus sees something in him that's not good, right? So Jesus said, hey, look, the birds have nests, foxes have holes, Son of Man's got nowhere to lay his head. What does that mean? It's like, I think what Jesus is saying to this guy is, look, you don't understand what you're signing up for here. You've got a cushy, cozy life. And Jesus can see us, right? And we think this person was a scribe, so he was in a position of knowledge and power, some influence. He's pretty well set, and kind of a nice, kind of cozy life. And so Jesus looks at us and said, you don't understand what you're signing up for. If you're going to follow me, you're going to have to get out of the nest. You're going to get kicked out of the nest. Your nest egg, your Nestle's cocoa, all that stuff, all the cushy, cozy life. If you're going to follow me, buddy, you're going to have to leave that behind. And I don't think you're ready to do that. I think that's kind of what Jesus is saying. Is anybody like that and say, come to worship or come to church? Like, I am a Christian, and I will sign up, and I will